Once we've created our questions, we now need to create a quiz so we can utilize the questions. I have my questions created here. In order to create the quiz, we go back to our course, and then we scroll down to the section that we want to put the quiz in. I'm going to put it in section 3 here, add an activity, and that activity is going to be a quiz. So I select quiz. Now we give the quiz a name. Government terms. Okay, you can put an introduction. This would be like the directions for the entire quiz. Please choose the most appropriate answer for each question. And now, open the quiz, close the quiz, time limit. You can enable when the quiz is viewable by the students. So until we open the quiz, it's not seen by any students at all. So once we enable the quiz, now they're able to go in and take the quiz. There are other ways that you can curtail when they can access it, as we'll look at in a few minutes. But we're going to enable the quiz. By the same token, we can disable the quiz or close the quiz. So if it's something that we want to do during a particular day or particular class time, we can set it so that it's only viewable from 9:09 to 10:09 on this particular day. We can also set a time limit on the quiz, so that if we want them to only take 5 minutes on this quiz, we can enable a time limit, and once they get started, they'll have 5 minutes, and at the end of 5 minutes, the quiz will be submitted no matter what. The number of attempts, you can let them have only one attempt at it, or unlimited, or anything between 1 and 10. So for example, if this is just to review for a test, you could leave it at unlimited. But if it's an actual quiz where you're wanting a grade for class, you could set that to 1. And then you go down to the grading method is the highest grade. So whatever the highest grade in one attempt is, which there's only one grade, but if you set this to something larger, say 3 attempts, you can say that it's the first attempt is their grade, the last attempt, it averages all of them, or it gives you simply the highest. So we're going to stay with 1 on this one. Now the layout, the questions as shown on the edit screen or shuffled randomly. So if we want to, we can have the same questions on each quiz, but they're in a different order for each person. So I'll shuffle randomly, and every question gets a new page. This way they can only see the question in front of them, and once they move forward, they'll only see that question. So I'm going to leave 1 question per page. Question behavior. Do we want to shuffle within each question? So remember, when we were making out our multiple choice, we chose shuffle as an option, so we can shuffle here as well, or tell it that yes, we do want to shuffle. So with these two things, with the layout and the question behavior, every student will be getting the same identical quiz, but the order of the questions will be different, and the order of the answers within each question. So it's a good way to cut down on the amount of cheating that's going on if it's in a classroom setting like this. How the questions behave. Deferred feedback means at the end of the quiz, when everything is submitted, they'll be able to see their grade and any other information that you might want. You can set it to immediate feedback, in which case when they answer a question, they'll immediately get the feedback for that question. That yes, they got it right, no, they got it wrong, and any feedback that goes with it. So I'm going to leave it as deferred feedback. And now what about the review options? These are just things that you can check or uncheck, and so that the students can see, did they get the correct answer? Can they see the specific feedback? When do you want them to be able to do that? So right now all of these are checked, that after the attempt they can see these things. After the quiz is closed, they can see these things. But since it's deferred feedback, they won't see anything until the quiz is closed here. The display, if a user has a picture, they could see that. Display placing grades, so if you want them to see just a number, like a 90, you set it to 0. If you want to see a 90.5, set it to 1 or 2 decimal places. and then extra restrictions. So let's say, for example, you're planning to give this quiz in your class tomorrow. You would set it so that it opens up only during your class period, but you want to be sure that students are in the class when they take it. You can go here and put in a password, and they have to have that specific password in order to attempt the quiz here. So they'd walk into class, you'd tell them to open up the quiz, this is the password. So anyone that was not in the classroom would not be able to get that. You can also require a specific network address, and we'll talk about that if and when you might need it. So you could actually limit it to where they could only take the quiz if they were on this campus at that particular time. Now, remember, we had feedback sections with a different questions. We also have feedback sections within a quiz here. So you can give feedback if they make a grade between 100 and whatever you put down here. Let's say 80. So now anybody that makes between 100 and 80 will get whatever feedback I put here, such as great job. Okay, and then anybody from 80 to 70, you could say pretty good, but you need to study more. And then anybody from 70 down to 0, you could say you need to set up a time to see the teacher. So then when they finish, they'll get that feedback about that particular quiz. And you can have as many boundaries as you might want there. And then we hit, now we normally hit save and return to course here. What I want to do is hit save and display. Because now we've created our quiz, so we have a placeholder for it, but we don't have any questions on the quiz here. So we must have left something out here. Feedback must be between 0% and 100%. All right, so instead of 80, I need to put 80% here, and instead of 70, I need to put 70%, and instead of 0, I need to put 0%. So that's something you need to remember. Those need to be a percentage. Now we hit save and display. And it still didn't like what we put there. Notice that when we make an error, it highlights in red what we need to do differently. The value entered here is out of range. Maybe that's not a 0. It must be between 0% and 100%. We don't have anything here. Maybe we need to get that out of there. Save and display. And now we've gotten to our quiz here. It says that we are allowing one attempt. It opens at 9:09 this morning. It closes at 10:09, but we don't have any questions here. So if now we click Edit Quiz, we'll be taken here to this page, and you'll notice that we don't have any questions here. It says we have an empty page here. But we do have these questions over here. So we can go in here and we can simply select all of these questions. Notice that we're in the Moodle course, so maybe we only want the government questions for this here one. So now it only has the government questions, these 5, and we hit Add to Quiz. And now as we scroll down, see we have a total of 5. Total of grades is 5, questions 5. So now we have 5 questions on this quiz now. So now if we go back and try to take the quiz, they'll be showing up with those 5 questions there. So we've got the questions. Notice we can also add randomly questions, or we could go right here and add a question to the quiz at this particular time if we choose to. So I'm going to press save here. So we've got this saved. And now if we go back to our course, we should see under section 3 down here, we've got a quiz over government terms. Notice it's a piece of paper. Notice it has a check mark on it. If we click on that, We can click Attempt the quiz now. You're only allowed one attempt, so they need to be sure that they read these carefully. And now as they start the attempt, and they get to see what the question is and make a choice and move on to the next. Notice the countdown here. We didn't set a timer on this, but what we did do is said that it closes at 10:09 this morning. So it's telling me in 49 minutes this quiz will be closed and I'll have to be finished with it by that time.